Title: The One I Didn't Choose. Written by Elroi. Novel Library. I remember the first time I saw Vanessa. She walked into that cafe like she owned the world, not in an arrogant way, but in that effortless, magnetic way some people just have. Sharp eyes, confident smile. She laughed like nothing could touch her. And for a man like me, tired of the quiet silences, the awkward first dates, she was fire. We clicked fast. The kind of chemistry that makes you forget to think. She said all the right things, laughed at all the right moments. I was drawn in. I thought I'd found someone who matched me, someone whole. But something kept tapping at me quietly, like a soft knock behind a closed door. We talked a lot about work, about plans, dreams, holidays. But any time I tried to dig deeper, ask about her fears, her past, even what hurt her, she'd laugh it off. Don't overthink, she'd say. Let's just have fun. And I wanted to believe that was enough. I tried. God knows I tried. But the truth is, I started to feel alone even when she was right next to me. One night, we were lying in bed, and I turned to her and asked, "Do you ever feel scared of being too close to someone?" She looked at me, confused. No. Why? Are you? I didn't answer. She turned away. We didn't talk much the next morning. That was the first crack. What I didn't know was that the universe was already preparing to show me something different. Someone different. A woman who didn't dazzle like Vanessa, but who saw right through me from day one. Her name was Jasmine. And I had no idea how much she'd change my life. I met Jasmine at a friend's dinner party. She wasn't loud or trying to impress anyone. In fact, I almost missed her entirely until she made a quiet joke that had me laughing harder than I had in weeks. There was something disarming about her. Not flashy. Not trying. Just real. We started talking, and within minutes, I felt like I'd known her longer than Vanessa. Jasmine asked questions, not the usual small talk, but things like, what made you who you are today, and what do you find hard to admit about yourself? At first, I hesitated. No one had ever asked me that, not in that way. But when I answered, she listened. Fully. No distractions. No judgment. She didn't flinch when I told her about my insecurities, my fear of not being enough, my complicated childhood. In fact, she smiled softly and said, "It's brave of you to know that about yourself." It caught me off guard, how safe I felt, how open she was with her own flaws too. She told me about moments she felt jealous or anxious. How she used to push people away until she realized it wasn't their fault. It was her fear of needing anyone at all. And it struck me, she wasn't trying to hide her scars. She was learning how to live with them. Vanessa never let me in like that. With Jasmine, it was like looking into a mirror, one that didn't distort me, but helped me see myself clearer. I started to realize, this is what maturity feels like. Not perfection. Not pretending. Just two people willing to see and be seen. Still, the choice wasn't clear yet. I was stuck between the spark I once craved and the steady flame now warming my soul. But life has a way of forcing your hand, especially when you're standing in your own way. The pull toward Vanessa didn't disappear overnight. Some days, I still missed the excitement, the chase, the high of her approval. It was tempting, dangerously so, like a familiar song that could drown out the wiser voice inside me. But the more time I spent with Jasmine, the more that voice grew stronger. One evening, I found myself sitting across from Jasmine at a quiet cafe. We were both tired from long days, sipping lukewarm coffee, and yet, I felt peace. A rare kind of peace that didn't demand I perform or hide. I remember thinking, this is real life. Not fireworks, but a steady light. And then she asked me, so gently it almost hurt. Do you think you're ready for something that doesn't hurt to hold? That night, lying awake, I thought about all I had learned, not just about Vanessa or Jasmine, but about myself. I asked the hard questions. Could I bear real love without needing constant drama to feel alive? Could I choose someone who saw me flaws and all, and loved me anyway? Could I walk away from a cycle of pain, even if it meant being alone a little longer? The answer came slowly, but it came. It wasn't about Jasmine or Vanessa. Not entirely. It was about the kind of man I was ready to be. I called Vanessa the next morning. I told her calmly, respectfully, that I was grateful for the memories, but we wanted different things. She didn't argue. She didn't even seem surprised. Then I drove across town to see Jasmine. I didn't make grand promises. I didn't try to impress her. I simply told her the truth. I'm not perfect, but I'm ready to be real. She smiled, that quiet, knowing smile, and reached for my hand. Choosing Jasmine wasn't about settling down or playing it safe. It was about finally choosing myself. Choosing the man I was meant to become. And in that moment, for the first time in a long time, I realized I was home. Love isn't always loud. It's not always a sweeping romance or a fiery beginning. Sometimes, it's a quiet conversation at midnight. A warm silence on a rainy day. A look that says, you don't have to pretend here. Looking back, I don't regret the pain. It taught me what to value, what to avoid, and most of all, who I wanted to become. Vanessa was the lesson. Jasmine was the answer. But I was the one who had to choose. And choosing right, that was the beginning of everything. This isn't a fairy tale. This is better. This is real. And real is enough.